I think right now, I think this is one of the best podcasts we've ever taped because it's just what we do to help us raise incredibly healthy kids. Make an active effort as a parent to include them in the journey. Making journey, egging journey from start to process.
Have them scoop it. Like
Yep.
get the apron and figure out
Yeah.
what day of the week that it is and let them do the work, right? Put all the
And that's the key. Like if we can change your child's palate to look for more savory and salty and briny, like soury, it takes them away from the massive sugar that they're looking for.
and like we're talking about easy snacks,
Yep.
but ultimately the reason behind this is twofold because
Little pickles,
I
there's
want to
the
hear what your
gherkins.
favorite pickle is
Yeah.
because bread and butter or baby dill.
You are a bread and butter girl. Like you,
but not,
that
you
is.
can't always find bread and
Well,
butter
we
everywhere.
have a professional pickle packer that we take care of. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Skip Wyss, and I have my amazing, radiantly beautiful co-host, Dr. Julie Wyss, here with us today. Hey, Dr. Julie, how are you?
I'm great.
Yeah?
It's been an awesome day.
It has been, and you know, these past few episodes, Dr. Julie, we've been on a nutrition kick with our kids going back to school, from supporting their immune system to good, healthy, easy school lunches. And tonight, I really want to talk about something that to make things easier on parents, and that's easy after school snacks. That is one of the probably hardest things to manage as a parent because most of us aren't home when our kids get home.
Or when we are either getting ready for dinner or it's homework, and it's really not the forethought to have those things prepped.
Well, yeah, and if they're like our kids, they come home and they like pretty much like our son will eat the fridge gone. Like it's incredible the amount of things that he eats. And he just at this age, he's at an interesting age. He's 13, and our daughter's 16. So she makes different choices with her nutrition. Peyton's very nutrition nutrition confident now. She's very conscious of what she eats. Brecken, not so much. The B-man, our 13-year-old son, just tears into everything. He will be quick to go to carbs right now. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, he was usually the one that if he was hungry, he would find a fruit or an entire bag of carrots would get eaten.
Yep.
But yeah, I think now it's the simplicity of not really looking for the convenience. And if we don't have those things prepped and ready, that is what he is going for.
Yeah, he's going to go into our pantry, go into our cupboard, and eat some carbs, find something sugary, something to give him more of an energy boost. And I think that's the first thing we should delve into is, Dr. Julie, what do you think are some really good ways to increase our children's energy nutrition-wise after school? What do you think are some easier ways to bring in it? Are we looking at fruits, nuts, protein?
Yeah, so I think we have to take into consideration really the age of the child, right?
Yep.
And what development period that they're in. And we need to feed their brains exactly what they need. But sometimes the easiest is the nuts, is a trail mix. And you can make your own trail mix, and you can't not have, the M&Ms maybe, or like we always opted for the dark chocolate chips, just having that little sweet thing in there because it does help to balance the nuts and the omegas, the good things that they're going to get from the brain food. I think that is lots of times the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
That can get pricey for families, so we understand that. The next quick thing that I can think of that somebody would grab would probably be granola bars.
Yep.
But it's super simple to also make your own granola bar and put those things together, and then you can really be conscious of what the makeup is of it. So it's not a whole bunch of other sugars and things holding it together. You can use molasses or honey, agave syrup to make those, and then you can flavor them to exactly what your child likes.
Yeah. I really like that. So actually, y'all out there, when you're listening, our awesome listeners, comment granola in the comments below, or comment nuts, not nuts, sorry. Comment nuts. I don't care. Comment nuts in the comments, and we'll try to get you over a guide or some information, because I want to go back to this to this trail mix idea, because I think it's something that's missed. And you did something really cool. You talked about it last episode, but you said take your children shopping with you. And I think this is a great opportunity to take your children shopping to pick out what they want in their trail mix. I would tell you, if it's budget that we're worried about, you're not going to want to go for the really expensive almonds. You're not going to want to go for walnuts, things like that. Peanuts are an easy thing to go for, but here's the thing with peanuts. We want to be real careful, because peanut butter will have a high fungus content because peanuts are grown in the ground. They're not grown on a tree. Cashews are an amazing alternative. Cashews can be a little bit more pricey, but you can make up for that with dried fruits.
You can make up for it, but also buying in bulk, right?
Yep.
So there's many options to be able to buy in bulk and then make your helpings all together. And I think traditional people think trail mix, you just mentioned it, but I think people are thinking like nuts and raisins and then those dried fruit. But there's nothing to say that it can't be more of a gluten-free like cracker mix.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it doesn't have to always be the traditional, right? It can be like, well, I'm not sure that those are going to taste together, but if that's what your child is picking out, put that together, because then it's going to be, they're going to actually eat it. Then you're not being wasteful. And let them kind of make different amounts, in each of the baggies for them.
Yeah, and let them taste what's going in. So we commonly, when we made our trail mix for our kids, you had cashews in there. You either had raisins, yellow or dark raisins.
And
Craisins. You guys would do dark chocolate, like you would either do the low sugar dark chocolate chips, or you would just put the dark chocolate nibs in there, because it is nice to have a little bit of sweet there, and that does give them a little bit of an energy boost, because that's what they're looking for. And then you would usually use you would have a couple types of nuts in there. Now, do you think that there's
pretzels?
You did do pretzels. You used pretzels. You used the small ones that you could get gluten free. Sometimes you use the sticks. Other times we have used Cheerios. Brecken picked out Cheerios a couple times. And even if it's Honey Nut Cheerios, like that little bit of sugar is okay. We just want to make sure that they're excited to eat everything that's in there and not just pick the Cheerios out.
Right, and it's the grand scheme of things. Like, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get them away from, maybe the traditional trail mix, or grabbing for a Pop-Tart, or like an overly sugary snack, Hostess types of things. And right, if that is our win, that we can get them to eat the trail mix, and maybe there's some other things that are like, oh my gosh, they're going to have those things in there, even like goldfish, right? It's still a win, right? So then we can talk about keeping the cost down. We can talk about exactly what the kids are going to want to eat, and it's a win-win all around, because then we're minimizing waste. We're telling them how much they can eat within that, and then we're not wasting our dinner, right? We still have an appetite for when dinner comes.
Now, I've commonly been asked this question to you all is, Dr. Skip, should I get raw versus dry roasted versus everything? And I will tell you right now, I like raw nuts, but some of them don't absorb as well when they're raw. Almonds in particular, when they're raw, they don't absorb very, very well. Macadamia nuts, they absorb better when they're cooked. Same thing with Brazil nuts. That's something that you don't put in kids stuff, but there's certain things that they should be roasted. They should be slightly done. A good friend of ours, like when they do up their nuts, they may use honey on them, so they roast them in a pan. So if you buy raw, roast them in the oven for a little bit with honey. That adds just a little bit of flavor to it. Sometimes cinnamon, depending on the season. All of these things will be attractive to your child, as long as you make an active effort as a parent to include them in the journey. So include them in the making journey, include them in the bagging journey, from start to process.
Have them scoop it, like get the apron and figure out what day of the week that it is, and let them do the work, right? Put all the things together, and if they make a mess, so what? But at least they're enjoying it, because then it's going to be that much easier for them to also enjoy it. Yeah,
and I would say I'm not the best to come and do trail mix, because I'm the one that usually eats the sweets right away, and then it's like, where the hell did all the chocolate chips go? Well, Dad ate them. And so I think that is a perfect way for you all to get nutrition into your kids right after school that you can control. I don't really want you to go to the dairy right away. A lot of parents, and there's different schools of thought on this. There's different tribes around this, but I don't like giving your kid cheese right after school. I don't like giving your kid string cheeses. I'm not okay with that. The reason why is that stuff is mucogenic and it's immunosuppressant. So unless it's raw, unless it's like A2 milk, A2 dairy, you're not getting the best dairy into your children. So just avoid it altogether. If you want to avoid the kid being sick all the time, stuffy nose, runny nose, or if they've got the bags under their eyes, start eliminating the dairy out of their diet because it's really not needed. And the whole thing that you've been brainwashed into about calcium content, it's just not as high as what you think because they fortify it.
It's not, yeah, it's not real dairy. And I would say, so I think we're going to continue on down the road, but making the things easy and accessible in the fridge. So,
Yep.
After
we've talked
after
about
that,
this.
the protein. So even just simple like lunch meats that you can go
Yep.
to the deli and get those fresh sliced,
Just
having those prepackaged and ready to go. And I think this came up the last podcast that we do, but why not make a charcuterie board for your kids, right? So same thing as a Lunchable, but you can have that prepped and ready for when they come home from school. You could have that trail mix on the side, but having the finger foods ready. So vegetables, you can have carrots washed and ready to eat. You can have cherry tomatoes. You can just have regular tomatoes. You can have peppers, right? So the sweet peppers, having everything sliced and easy and accessible. And if you think back of like, yeah, I guess I myself, I'll snitch the cucumbers when they're prepped and ready. Well, we just need to make it forefront in the fridge. So when they open it up, Mom, I'm hungry, it's there. And maybe we spend a little bit more investment on whatever container that's holding that, because then we know that they're going to want to grab that and be able to eat that and snack.
And we'll put some links in our comments below too on some of your go-to containers that you love to use, those boxes and stuff. Dr. Julie, I had a patient a few years back come to me and say, hey, one of the coolest things my wife does is when the kids get home, she literally gets out beef sticks or summer sausage and will cut like half of it up and put it out for the kids, and it'll just get eaten. And he was talking about the protein value. I think there's tremendous value in smoked meats. If you have the opportunity to buy summer sausage, if you have the opportunity to have venison made into summer sausage, into venison sticks, like remember there are more red meats out there than just beef. So, and there's some really amazingly good red meats out there in the form of venison, whether it's elk, deer, whitetail, all of these different games. They are incredibly lean. They are incredibly high in a protein content and red count contents, which meaning like CoQ10, all of these things that men talk about that are actually women-related vitamins as well for your heart. Kids are really important to go off on. And sorry to go on this little Tarantino moment, but it's super important. And then you used to do something really cool for our kids. When you cut up meats for them, you would use cookie cutters and cut shapes out of the meats. And you'd cut shapes out of the cheeses too, because our kids still get cheese, but not that much. They just choose not to eat it now. But cheeses, I would say if we were going to do cheese, I would go with a low dairy cheese, something like a Parmesan that just is really pungent in flavor. Yeah, the flakes, like super pungent in flavor. And or they make like a very low dairy form of feta now. So that kind of stuff. And then another great thing that I love bringing into this is ferments. We've talked about this before. It supports gut health, but pickles, different pickle flavors,
sauerkraut.
little pickles, and you can buy so many different pickles out there. There's the big pickles, there's the spears, there's the little pickles, there's the gherkins. I want to hear
what your favorite pickle is, because bread and butter or baby dills.
You are a bread and butter girl. Like you,
but not,
that
you
is.
can't always find, bread and butter everywhere.
We have a professional pickle packer that we take care of, and that guy, Brett, if you get it, I hope you listen. I know Kat does. Shout out to you, Brett, for bringing Julie massive gallon jars of pickles and different pickle recipes and different relish recipes.
May not have shared.
Yep, some of these things you didn't share, and there's a couple things I didn't share. You sent me a couple relishes that were really good, and she didn't get to taste them. But those ferments are great. Those little mini pickles, those gherkins, black olives, green olives, the big ones. Those are little things to put out for your kids too, because I want to get your kids' palate changed. And that's the key. Like if we can change your child's palate to look for more savory and salty and briny, like soury, it takes them away from the massive sugar that they're looking for.
Well, and like we're talking about easy snacks,
Yep.
but ultimately the reason behind this is twofold, because if we can nip the sugar in the butt so that they're
Yeah.
not, craving the sugar, if they're coming home from school, right, they're around everybody, and if their bodies are stressed, immune system is dropping. So we're talking about protein, right? Protein is that bodybuilder.
Yep.
We're talking about ferments. That builds up resources within the body to fight off bacteria, viruses. So, if we think about the kids coming home, take out the sugar, take out the dairy, and if we can continue to give immune boosting food options, it's just going to keep our kids, their immune system, that much stronger.
Yeah. And I think if we were going down that route, we want to give them good, nutritious foods. And the thing that popped in my head, which is weird, I don't know why it popped up, but I got to talk to you about it. Protein pancakes. I don't know why the hell it just came up.
I don't know.
But what
I think where
my mind was going with that was like, if you're going to go with more of a carbohydrate and cracker, make sure that it's nutrient dense. Make sure that it's really good, solid stuff. In fact, Standard Process makes the possible bars, the impossible stuff. Those are good protein things you can give your kids in a pinch. In fact, I love those when I golf, especially when I'm golfing like 18 holes. I will eat one of those and an apple and be great. Now let's just talk fruits quick, because we've talked about this on a lot of episodes. And obviously, we've went into this with you guys. Like, the things that I really love are berries. You know that. I've talked that with you a lot, but I'm going to go back over it anyways. So raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, any type of berry you can get your hands on generally has a lower glycemic index, which doesn't cause your kids' blood sugar to just go crazy and then gets them a hard crash. Yeah, bananas, again, are another one that are like dairy. I would love to see those eliminated from diets. Same thing with like guava nectar, things like that. What do you think about like dried papaya? What do you think about the dried fruits? So we do have like freeze-dried apples
the dried
and bananas.
Fruits are going to have a little bit higher sugar content,
yep.
right?
But easy to overeat.
If they're freeze-dried, right,
yep.
we just need to make sure that we are, I don't want to say rationing, but we're limiting, right? So it's not one of those things that we're going to set the whole bag out and just kind of eat mindlessly. Maybe we're only, if it's apples, like we're setting out 3 or 4, because sometimes the sugar content, like those 3 or 4, can attribute to an entire apple.
Yeah, we've talked about that with apricots.
So of just making sure that the belly buttons, right? That we're then limiting, right? So that's easy to throw in the bag for you to have on hand, rather than the apple or the produce that may not last as long. We just need to make sure, okay, if we're going to have that, I need to have something else along with that dried fruit, just to make sure that we're just not getting all that sugar content again.
Now, if we went with fresh fruits, again, eat what's in season. But we are coming up on the fall here, and the absolute best fruit in the world is coming out now, and that's apples. And they come in so many different arrays, flavors, looks, crunches, crisps, and they're wonderful. This is a great time of year. Slice those things up, have those ready to go. And if the kid's worried about browning, the old trick that always works is just a little splash of lemon juice, fold those around in it, and they don't brown. The acid really does help. And then also, oranges and citrus are coming into season here too. Cherries just left Wisconsin, but oranges and citrus are huge. And getting your kids to eat oranges this time of year and coming up does massive immune system support, gives you tremendous amounts of vitamin D, vitamin C, not D, and really helps the body out and fight lots of little things off. So I think this was one of the best podcasts we've ever taped, because it's just what we do to help us raise incredibly healthy kids. We have a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old.
It takes a little bit of planning, but again, if you think about what works best for you, if stuff is already, prepped for you to be able to just reach in the fridge and grab it, that's what we're looking at for the kids. And, in our pantry, like they know where the snack bins are, but it's all the homemade things. And so they know that they can take a small baggie of this and then a different baggie of the other. And to save cost on that too, just get the recyclable bags.
That saves cost and time.
Because that makes it a lot easier, to know, okay, I only have 2 of those left. I need to refill, or I need to make a new batch.
They make those cool little, like you said, cool little recyclable little plastic impregnated bags that work wonderful. And this has just been an awesome, excellent episode. Dr. Julie, do you have anything else you want to add in?
No, you just made me hungry.
I know, right? Well, we got a little bit left before we can go eat. So, all right, everybody, go out there, have a great day, raise healthy and amazing families, and we're always here for you. I'm Dr. Skip. This is Dr. Julie. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.